Sometimes when you upload your site or look at it on a different computer, things can look wrong. Your text might be sitting in completely the wrong position, your images might have disappeared off the face of the earth, or your multicolored masterpiece might turn into a black and white tribute to the Times New Roman font once you hit the upload button. In this lesson, we're going to take a look at some basic web design troubleshooting. First things first. My fonts look wrong on my friend's computer. Well, without using some advanced techniques which are beyond the scope of this lesson, you can only see a font on a web page if you've got that font installed on the computer you're trying to view it on. If your fonts look different on your friend's computer, it's probably because he or she doesn't have that font installed. Fortunately, there are some fonts that come standard on pretty much all the major operating systems out there. You can use these fonts on your website and be reasonably sure your viewers will be able to see them. If your font is more exotic, you can try it in your page, but be sure to specify acceptable alternative fonts in case your viewers don't have that particular one. For instance, H1, font family, Futura, Arial, Helvetica, McDonagh and sans serif. This is a list of fonts in order of preference. Futura is the first choice, but if the viewer doesn't have Futura, then the next choice is Arial, followed by Helvetica, McDonagh, and then any old sans serif, i.e. it has no feet, font. If you really have your heart set on using a particular font and want to be sure everyone can see it, well, you have to turn it into an image. What about this question? I uploaded my website, but my images don't display. If your images were working fine when you previewed your page on your computer, preferably using your browser, not just the preview screen in your HTML editor, then 99% of the time you will have done one of the following two things. 1. You haven't actually uploaded your images, or you've uploaded them to the wrong place. When you uploaded your site, you also needed to upload all associated images and files that the website needs. If you're sure that you've uploaded your images, use your FTP program to connect to your web server and see if the images are where you expected them to be. Or you can type the location directly into your browser like this, www.yourdomain.com/yourimage.jpg. If your image isn't there, try uploading it again, paying particular attention to where it's going. Or, number 2, you've failed to click the Relative to Document checkbox when inserting your image. If you're using a What You See Is What You Get editor like Dreamweaver, Front Page or InView, sometimes the location of the image file gets a bit whacked. The software ends up recording the full location of the image on your computer rather than the location of the image relative to your page. So instead of the nice and tidy image source like this, you get something messy like this, which references where it's going to on your computer. Of course, this address doesn't exist on your website, so there's no way that the browser will ever find that particular file. To check this, open your website in your browser. Go to View, then Page Source, and look at the source code of your page. Try and find the HTML that inserts that missing image. If you can't read the HTML, use the Find tool to search for your image name inside that document. Once you've found where the image is called, have a look at where the HTML says the file should be located. If it looks a little bit like this, referencing somewhere that should be on your computer, then it's been inserted incorrectly. From here, you can either edit the location manually or go back to your web authoring software and insert the image again, making sure that it's being inserted relative to the document. There should be a little checkbox for that option. What about this one? I uploaded my website, but when I go to my domain, there's nothing there. First thing to check is that you're uploading your files into the part of your website where the web files go. When you first connect to your website, you won't usually be in this folder at all. You'll need to look at the file called www or http docs or public HTML and upload your files into that. Otherwise, nobody will be able to access them. The second thing to check is whether you've named your first page or your index page as index.html or index.php. When you type in your domain, the first page you come to has to be called index.html, index.php, or something along those lines. The index part is the key. If you've named your site main, homepage, or something else.html, you will explicitly need to type this into your browser's address bar to see it. For example, example.com/something else.html. The index.html page is the only one that can appear without being explicitly asked for. What about this question? My external style sheet is working on one page, but I can't get it to work on my other page. Why is that? If you've got any variation on the XYZ works on one page but not on another page problem, it's probably because you're not referencing the files in question correctly. This usually happens if you've got one page that works and you've copied this page to try and make another page, but you've put the second page into a different folder or directory. The page is in a different place, but it's still following the old directions to images or CSS. To fix this, you can go into your What You See Is What You Get editor, Dreamweaver or similar, and reinsert the image or relink the CSS file. Or you can look at your HTML and fix it up there. Usually all you have to do is insert or remove some dots and slashes in front of the image or CSS file. ... means go up one directory. / without the dots means go to the top of the website, the root directory. File name without the dots or slashes means this folder or file is in the same folder as this HTML document. And what about this? My page looks wrong in Firefox or Internet Explorer or Chrome or Safari, Opera, etc. In a perfect world, a web page would look the same regardless of what web browser or operating system you viewed it on. Unfortunately, this simply isn't the case, and a page that looks perfectly fine on one machine can look very strange on another. Generally, the biggest culprit for breaking page designs is Internet Explorer. Fortunately, there are a few things you can do to reduce this problem. Number 1, use a valid doc type. Your doc type is the first line at the top of your page that looks like this. Or if you're lucky, more like this. You need to make sure, first of all, that you have one of these. Without a doc type declaration, browsers revert to quirks mode, which means that browsers try to read the page like an older browser would read the page. This is because there are many old pages on the internet that were designed to work using the various quirks of different browsers. If browsers were to stop being so quirky, then all of these pages would break. By contrast, a page that includes a doc type is effectively telling the browser that it wants to be displayed in standard mode. However, if you've designed your site without a doc type to begin with, you might find that inserting a doc type breaks your page in all browsers. This is because you may, inadvertently, have relied on these self-same quirks that the old browsers used to have. If you really want everything to look as similar as possible across browsers, it's much easier to specify a doc type and tweak your site so that it displays correctly in standards mode than it is to create a bunch of hacks and workarounds to get it working in quirks mode on all the browsers. Number 2, watch out for proprietary HTML. If you're using an older HTML editor, you might find that it's inserting things that aren't real HTML. Microsoft's front page, in particular, was traditionally notorious for inserting Internet Explorer-only HTML that wouldn't work on any other browser. So if you've specified a doc type for your page, you should be able to run your page through an HTML validator to spot the invalid markup. Try the W3C validator service, validator.w3.org. This site will validate your own website and give you recommendations for fixing up the HTML. And time for today's lesson summary. In this lesson, we've taken a look at some of the common problems that plague web designers, including fonts looking incorrect on different computers, images not showing up, pages not showing up, even after uploading your website, items working or displaying on some pages but not others, and pages looking strange when viewed on a different machine. Anyway, that's all we've got time for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.